Every developer has their favorite set of tools, so let's take a look at some optional installs that you might want to take a look at. However, I will start this off by saying that when it comes to testing and working in any platform, simplicity wins in the long run, almost always. What does that even mean? Well, it means the fewer dependencies you can take on an external tool, the better. But for some people, some things are just not negotiable. They want their CoffeeScript, or maybe they want to use underscore, or some other assertion library that they find to be a little bit more understandable. Specifically, there is one called Chai.js that a lot of people like to use because it allows you to write your assertions in a little bit different vernacular. Here, it uses the should syntax, which I absolutely dislike. If you've watched any of my videos before, and I've done any testing, you've heard me say that either something does something or it does not. Should is a wiggle word, and I do not like it in terms of testing, but that's me. There's also expectations you can write with expect and also just plain old assert. However, if you think I'm full of hot air and you like your shoulds, that's fine too. There is a library called should. I've used this before, actually. It's pretty good when it comes to assertions. I just wish they could get rid of that word should. I don't like it. But anyway, should is a great assertion library if you want to do something different than just plain old vanilla assert. However, for me personally, I can get along without any of these extra syntax niceties, although they are pretty nice. Take a look at this. Should have properties, should not be okay, should not exist, should exist. All of these are abstractions on top of programming concepts, but they do drive clarity in your tests, which is important. Because if you want to use just a plain old assertion library, like I do, you don't have many choices. You have assert.fail, assert.ok, or just plain old assert. Then you have equal, not equal. You have deep equals for deep objects, and so on. You can see all the assertions here. Personally, I like this better. I like it better because it's part of the core Node framework. I use the assertion library all over my project. And if I don't have to take a dependency on another library, then by golly, I'm not going to do it. But that's just me. That is my opinion. I want to make that clear. But if you like your shoulds and so on, then you can use chai or should. I just want to point out that they are there. Another tool that a lot of developers really like is CoffeeScript. It helps you avoid a lot of common pitfalls with JavaScript, and the syntax is nice to look at. It's nice and clean and clear, and it draws a lot of inspiration from Ruby. I like to use it for tests sometimes because clarity with tests is really important. So let's install it, and you can take a look at how to wire this up to Mocha. Here, I'm installing it globally using npm install with a -g flag, and it goes in rather quick. And all I got to do is say, hey, Coffee, are you there? And it is. So I told you you weren't going to be seeing Vim again. I lied. Let's create a mocha.ops file. These are options that Mocha will read in, and they're basically just flags that you can send in at runtime. I like putting these in an ops file because people can have a central location where all the different options go in. Here I'm specifying that I want the CoffeeScript compiler to be pulled in whenever Mocha runs. And I just do that using the syntax you see here with the -- compilers flag. And I also specified that I wanted the BDD reporter. All right, well, let's create another spec. And this time I'm going to use the .coffee extension. That's going to tell Mocha that, hey, do I have a compiler for this file? And it's going to look at our compiler setting and say, aha, I do. So this is why a lot of people like to use CoffeeScript for testing. It is really clear. And the syntax is simple to read. Look at this. So the JavaScript that I just wrote versus this CoffeeScript, I don't know, you take your pick. I'm not a big CoffeeScript fan. I just like writing plain old JavaScript. However, I find this syntax so clear that you can show these tests to any developer if they know CoffeeScript or not, and they should be able to understand it. All right, I have written out our second spec here using CoffeeScript. Now let's run Mocha. There it is. It was pulled in, and there was really no visible change in terms of speed. And it's just really nice to see that Mocha works directly with CoffeeScript. What do you think? Let's take a look at these tests side by side using the CoffeeScript syntax here, and then let's flip back over to the JavaScript spec. It looks a little bit different. Now, admittedly, I have syntax highlighting enabled here for JavaScript, and I don't use CoffeeScript normally, but if I did, you could see syntax highlighting for this as well. Either way, just focus on the text itself. Which one do you think would be easier to communicate to other developers? Honestly, in my personal opinion, I don't use CoffeeScript, so it doesn't make sense to me to have it simply for tests. However, I can see the merits of it, so to each their own.